Good morning and a warm welcome to Channel World Seed. It's Innovation Day at the World Seed Congress, and this morning's session will be addressing microplastics in seed treatments, a pressing issue for the seed industry with new legislation on the horizon, accelerating a transition to microplastic-free alternatives. But here to discuss and share their insights, I'd like to invite and welcome my panel. We have Rob Pronk, who's the Global Marketing Manager of Incotec. To his left, we have Bert Compaan, the Research Manager of Seed Pathology at Bejo. And then to my right here, we have Rob Gaffney, Director of Global Marketing of Seed Treatments at BASF. I'd like to begin, Rob, by coming to you to ask you to introduce yourself and your interest in this conversation.
Thank you, Claire. My name is Rob Pronk. I'm Global Marketing Manager for Incotec. Working for Incotec, we're supplying the seed industry with film coats and pallets that may or may not contain microplastics, and we've got an agenda to support our industry to become as sustainably as possible and to remove microplastics from all our products as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Rob. And Bert.
Yeah, I'm Bert Compaan. I work for Bejo Zaden, seed company in the Netherlands, and my job is the manager of seed pathology research. So I do the research on seed testing, but also seed coating. So we are a customer. We use these seed coatings. Mm-hmm. Central in my job is seed health. And seed health is, of course, for plant health, but also for human health. It should be okay for the environment. So we really feel responsibility to use these techniques and the improvements whenever they are available.
Thank you, Bert. And lastly, Rob.
Claire, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with my esteemed colleagues, and certainly, so as you indicated, Rob Gaffney, I'm with BASF. My aspiration through all of this is I grew up on a family farm in the central part of the Sandhills of Nebraska in the United States, and it's one of those things, it was production agriculture, and I wanted to bring, at a young age, good, sustainable, helping feed the world and do what I can. But our role is, as we bring products to the marketplace for the seed industry and growers particularly, to raise a good quality, high productive crop to help feed the world. We're interested in this to make sure that we follow good sustainable practices, and we certainly are in helping reduce the microplastic situation with any of the contributions that might be associated with those. So, pleasure to be here.
Thank you all so much for joining us. And let's just begin by talking about what are microplastics?
Without becoming too technical, microplastics are tiny synthetic polymers that are not soluble in water and do not degrade. If it fits that definition, basically, it's going to be considered a microplastic.
And why are we having this conversation right now? Because I'm aware there's some legislation on the horizon. Bert.
Yeah, so there are new rules coming up mainly in the EU, and in that sense, we need to adapt, but also we feel the responsibility to do something about it. So as ISF in the coordination group, we discussed this and we made a position paper or a paper to make our statement how to look at this. And in that sense, we thought, well, microplastics, if we can do something about it, maybe we should do something about it, unless we know that it's only a small part of the total problem of microplastics that we can solve, but we'll do our best in this case, and that's why we wrote this paper.
Do you want to tell me a little bit more about the paper, Rob, and about the specific legislation that's pending?
Sure, just to augment what Bert and Rob have indicated. So pending legislation, it's now law in the EU. It was in force in October of 2023. And part of that stipulation with that rule is for essentially non-active products, we have 5 years to make the transition to make sure and assure those are microplastic free. And then we would have 8 years to make sure that plant protection products with active ingredients that are registered certainly would become microplastic free. So that's kind of the situation. Now, when it was pending a couple of years ago, ISF had come to our coordinating group and said, let's take on this challenge and let's look at it. So it's taken a couple years to get to this statement, but certainly once it became law, we then knew what the guardrails were, and it allows companies like BASF and others to address that microplastic content that could be in those products.
And why are microplastics added to seed treatments? And what are the primary benefits of these seed treatments, specifically regarding sustainability?
Oh, wow. I can talk for hours about this. But so you need to understand, most in this audience will understand that seed treatments have a role, and polymers have a role to get seed treatment products correctly onto the seed and make sure that they adhere to the seed, that they flow through the planters without producing any dust, etc. Now, this is being done. You'll need some kind of glue, a polymer basically, to make sure that those products adhere, stick to the seed, and don't be removed while they're being transported, while they're being planted, etc. And that's the specific reasons why you've got polymers. And now these polymers, well, because they can be synthetic polymers which don't biodegrade, they are being considered microplastics. So we can aim to remove those, and we will remove those microplastics, yet we must be very sure that we don't get away from the benefits of these film coat liquids that make sure that products are remain being sticked on the seed properly.
Can you explain a little bit more about those benefits?
Okay, yes. So one of the benefits is, for example, dust off. You want to prevent that for workers, that there's no issues in a factory when seed's being treated, and we're talking huge volumes, that dust is being removed from the seed during the treatment itself. Same thing with the farmers when they are planting the seed. Also can be very big volumes, and they go with their tractors over the fields, that there's no dust coming off from that seed, both for the safety of the farmers as well as for the environment, because there have been challenges or talks about active ingredients, seed treatment products being spread, and you don't want any non-target organism to be affected by those products. It's supposed to be to remain on the seed and only on that specific spot. So that's also a very important point of that seed treatment process.
And Bert, what is the industry's view on the ban on microplastics?
I think we took the position that we're quite positive about it. We should be careful, take care for the environment. In that sense, it's okay, but one of the main messages that we have, that we need time to change. So there are these microplastics, can be in the products, and these products, as Rob explained, are important for the seed industry and for the world, feeding the world. In that sense, it's important to take time to make this change, and to, as a seed company, we are looking at our products. We have to re-evaluate what's important for our products, and then we can make this change. So when we have time, we can do it.
What are some of the current steps that are being taken to reduce microplastics? Can you share some of those?
I think a lot of companies are offering these products now. But as a seed company, we also need time to evaluate these products. If they fulfill our wishes, and if they satisfy our customers. So in that sense, this is important for us, that also we need, as a seed industry, need time to adapt and to change.
And Rob?
Yes, so once we identified what the pending legislation was going to look like, and then once the law come in, our team of experts certainly looked at the prioritization of what products are going to be impacted first, do a thorough review of those to assure the seed industry that those can be microplastic free. But certainly it takes a little time to do that, because the way formulations have been built, a lot of this activity helped the true functionality to keep these products adhered to the seed, targeted application. And just in this conference, as you look around, the evolution of applying these products to the seed has dramatically changed to precision application. And a lot of these polymers that go on help the process, as the colleagues here had indicated, flow through the plant, environmental safety, keep it on the target with precision application. So it will take some time, but certainly some products are now coming available, and certainly we are committed to make sure that we're in compliance when that law is true. So hopefully that helps.
And of course, Rob was saying this has obviously been legislation in Europe, but is this a global effort?
In a lot of ways it is. Now, Europe has law. Other regions, they're evaluating. There is nothing on the horizon right now that would have any imminent legislative situations that like Europe. But for example, let's say that the United States or South America or somebody might look at this and amp it up. They might utilize the EU as an example.
Okay.
And to keep things simplified, one thing that's going to be very important is to understand what those guardrails will be. Hopefully there would be harmonization in whatever it could be so that suppliers, seed industry, growers, one, can maintain and still have access to these critical products. But number two, as suppliers of it, then we know the guardrails to make sure that we're meeting the criteria of particle size and making sure that they're microplastic free.
Can any of you explain a little bit about what the key differences are in microplastics regulations across global regions, and how might this impact international agricultural practices?
Now, like Rob indicated, it's so far there's only legislation being implemented in Europe. So there's nothing yet on the horizon elsewhere.
Okay.
At the same time, what I feel and what I very much appreciate, there's a great ambition of our industry to, once there are microplastic-free alternatives available, to use them all across the globe. As a company, and I say we're not the only ones, we've got the ambition to transition. Once we realized the challenges that we have with microplastics, to make the transition towards microplastic-free alternatives, and we will be offering those exclusively, not exclusively, but we will be only offering microplastic-free alternatives going forward within the next few years. And I got the feeling this is being also by the customers of ours, that they've got the same ambition. So although there's no legislation currently on the horizon outside of Europe, I still think this is going to be a global effort, and all companies will go that path.
And what are the environmental impacts of microplastics from agricultural sources compared to other industries? And what specific agricultural practices contribute most to microplastic pollution?
Yeah, if you compare it to other sectors, the role of the seed sector is really really small. But still, you can speak about less than 1%. But still, we would like to take our responsibility, and in that sense, we are full responsibility for plant health, for sowing a good crop, and in that sense, we also like to have these products without microplastics. And the good thing is that they are available. I think it's a good example of the strong innovative power of the seed industry, that these products are there and that we can use them. So in that sense, it's really positive that the seed industry has reacted in that sense.
And what stakeholders are needed for this transition?
Well, that's pretty wide. I think, first of all, with suppliers, the seed sector, certainly policymakers, the general public, the NGOs, all across the board that we look at, it's time to have a conversation early in the process. And backing up to a couple others, those companies that are global oriented, and yesterday there was a conversation of the movement of treated seed around the globe and trying to harmonize that so that seed companies can be prepared. This truly is something that I think, and certainly we would encourage, that all of the seed sector take it seriously, look at it. And I think at the end of the day, if we can all collaborate with the right focus in mind and with the proper timing and the guidance given, we can certainly contribute to this and be effective around the globe. And last thing I would say, in terms of the seed treatment, there's a reduction just by applying seed treatments to the seed. That reduces the overall pesticide application 99%. So I think it was ECHA that indicated that seed treatment contribution is about 1% of the microplastic pollution that you had indicated. So while that's a very low number versus road tire wear and things of that nature, the goal is to go to zero, but it will take a little bit of time.
And you mentioned earlier in terms of stakeholders, the public. What is the public perception towards microplastics, and has there been pressure on that? You're all smiling, so I'll come to you all on that. Rob first.
It's been a, I think everybody knows microplastics is a huge topic, plastics and microplastics. And while general public doesn't always really understand the specific nature of it. I think we're all being challenged in the agricultural industry that there are challenges regarding sustainability and to produce food and feed for the globe. We've got a responsibility there. We've got a great job to perform. Still, we're being challenged to do that in the most sustainable way. And I think it's our responsibility, as has been indicated, although we're a small percentage of the microplastic challenge, still we've got a responsibility. And if it's possible to make the change, why wouldn't we? There's no real reason not to, as long as the performance is similar to what we're used to. But yes, we're being challenged, and we're happy to take up that challenge to move that transition to a microplastic-free environment, at least from the agricultural perspective.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a live discussion. The general public is interested in this topic. It's on the social media, it's on TV, so people are really start looking at the cosmetics that they use. Are there microplastics inside? So I think people are aware and will become more aware of this. So I think it's really good that we are proactive in this and do something about it.
And I certainly think it's one of those where, you know, what's possible, I think we ought to challenge what's the impossible that we can attain and achieve. And I think the seed industry is very important. I like to eat. There's a lot of, you know, in terms of the population of the future, seed is life. That's the motto of ISF, life is seed. So the intrinsic value is protected by these products. And it certainly gives all growers around the globe the opportunity to raise a good, healthy, sustainable crop. So it's going to be important that I think we all aim high and we can be leaders in all of this and perhaps show other industries how that can impact positively on their fronts.
Of course, we're here at the World Seed Congress. Everybody here is part of this conversation. What is the seed sector doing to engage with those, talking about public perception, those outside of this conference? How are you engaging and communicating so people are aware of that journey? Because if you're saying 1%, and it is such a small percentage, is that being received? Is that message getting out there?
I think it is, and I think we're using all the channels that we can. It's always challenging to talk to the general public. We've got LinkedIn, we've got Facebook, we've got different challenges. Channels, I should say, that we can reach out to the public, and we try and convey that message as well as possible. I think it's a very positive message that we're able to bring, that we can improve the sustainability in our industry. So we're doing that through various channels. Of course, we all know regarding the news, there's sometimes a bit of nonsense being explained elsewhere, and we try to be as professional as possible and reach out to the general public by, so I guess, mostly social media. There's a few news articles coming out every once and then. So we try to do our bit to get this message across to the wider world.
And Bert, do you think you're communicating these messages strongly enough outside of the walls of these conferences and everyone involved in the seed sector?
I think we do, and I think every company that's here can communicate this with its customers, because it's important for the customers. And in that sense, it's also a really positive message that we can bring, that we take our responsibilities and that we take care for the environment. And in that sense, it's also something that we can communicate. So everybody can do it, and that in that sense, we will be able to reach a big amount. Yeah.
And Rob?
So I think it all starts here. ISF now has a position statement. Certainly, I think all of us within our own companies are committed to make sure that all of our fellow colleagues and employees understand and what that is. And I think in terms of the International Seed Federation, the regional seed associations, the national seed associations, it's all about starting and highlighting and amplifying the conversation. I know certainly customers we deal with, they challenge us, and what's your expectations? We're challenging our own suppliers of some of these ingredients to ensure and make sure, and they're going through the process to prove to us they're microplastic, so that the products that we bring to the customers and the end use that's being put on the seed, they can be assured that they will be, because we certainly are going to be in compliance with the laws. But
And of course, the legislation kicks in 2028.
Yes.
We're having this conversation already, and you sort of eliminated to it earlier that the many years that this takes to get into. Can you talk a little bit more about the process and why that 2028 date is rather challenging?
So it was put into force in October of 2023, so the clock is ticking. And a lot of companies now have to do a lot of work, make sure that these products are microplastic, that the seed industry has an opportunity to evaluate on their own seed and do those proper assessments, because the last thing you want to do is put something on the seed that's detrimental.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the efficacy, the efficiency, and all the reasons of why we even put it on to help protect that young seed and seedling to get off to a good, fast, healthy start, that those tools remain long into the future for growers to be successful. So, yeah, that's...
And at Incotec, Rob, what's the pressure like facing yourselves on this and this deadline?
Well, it's pretty significant. Please understand, we're a global company. We're working with a lot of companies, a lot of crops, a lot of different. I mean, maize is going to behave differently than soybean or sunflower or oilseed rape or the vegetable crops. Then you've got all these different plant protection products, seed treatment products that we need to match our products towards. Then you've got all the different colors. So it's a big task. It's a huge task to be fulfilled. And then we need to make sure, of course, we're, if you like, first in line. We need to develop our products. Then it'll go to the seed companies who need to validate it together with the chemical companies to supply it with to match it with their seed treatment products. So we're first in line, and the pressure is significant to get it done. There are already, as been indicated, there are already alternatives out there. They're being validated currently, also being used commercially, but we're not there yet. And it's still a big step to go. And as indicated, we've got the ambition to go globally and get to this transition done globally. So Europe is going to be first, but all the other continents are going to follow quickly.
And yourself, Bert, at Bejo, what's the pressure been like for yourselves?
So I think we are really dependent on, of course, the supplies of these materials, and for us it's really good news that the materials are there, and we are responsible for testing to see if the quality that we have at the moment with the current products will be the same with the microplastic-free product forms. So and that's the big responsibility that we have, and to communicate about this product forms. Yeah.
And what's the conversation been like at the Congress? Has microplastics been part of conversations? What's the mood like here? Rob, do you want to take that?
Yes, it's, well, obviously with this around, folks have been aware and they've seen it. The interest is there. Discussions yesterday with customers, it's occurring, so it's beginning. And to augment some of what Rob and Bert have indicated, it's one of those things. It may seem easy to do, to achieve. One size doesn't fit all. So whether it's various crops and all, this will take some time to get done. But certainly the challenge is there. And I think the industry is poised for a new day. And I think it'll be a successful day. While it's not going to be easy, I think all together we can make something certainly progress and be positive.
And Rob, you've been having we had a conversation before the panel. What have been the conversations you've been having at Incotec today and yesterday?
For us, as you can imagine, for us it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. It's not only the polymers, it's also the pallets. It's all different types of products that we're producing, that we're providing to our customers. So for us, it's a major. It will be part of 80% of our conversations with customers, where we're at with the microplastic-free solutions that we're offering. So it's a very significant part of what we're doing nowadays in these congresses. It's news, it's exciting. We're happy to go that path, happy to try and lead the way towards sustainability, further sustainability in our industry.
And yourself, Bert, what are the conversations you've been having at the Congress?
I think sustainability is a big issue, and what you see, there are many companies that have these product forms. They offer it now, so in that sense, it is a conversation. But I think it's good to speak about the sustainability and our responsibility as a seed industry on this. So it's good to have this conversation.
And given it is Innovation Day, can we share at all any of the innovations that are happening within this space, or just to people listening so they can hear a little bit about where the move is headed?
I think for everybody is known that there are alternatives, and we are offering, like the chemical companies, like other companies, there are products on the market, and the pledge to the seed industry is, as everybody's well aware, don't wait and sit and wait, but be proactive in testing it. It's been indicated, legislation has implemented in 2023, there's a 5 to 8 year transition period, but while we might think that 2028 is long away, actually, it's around the corner. We need to validate that those products are safe, that there's no issue with seed safety for workers, etc., that the products do what they're supposed to do. So it's a pledge to everybody to, to walk the talk, get the wish towards sustainability done as quickly as possible. So there are alternatives, not only from us, also from other companies, and we invite everybody, go test those products and decide for yourselves which one you like best.
And as we're rounding up, I'd ask each of you, what's your call to action? We've got a big crowd here listening today online and here in the studio as well. What's your call to action to finish on in this topic? Rob, I'll come to you first.
Okay, so simply the call to action was recognize that the EU now has a law, and while we have a little bit of runway, it's time to get on. And as been indicated many times, there are some solutions now that are being offered. Seed companies are evaluating those, and that'll take a little bit of time, but in due time, it'll be here. So the call to action is, hey, take a look at that ISF position statement. I would ask all seed companies then, push it out further within their own organizations, out to their customers, and have this conversation. Just don't put it on the shelf and leave it behind, because it's definitely not going to get any easier. One thing that does impact some of this, while we have things developed for Europe, not in all cases what we develop in Europe can be taken and transitioned, say, to the United States, because of certain regulatory rules that things that are used in Europe could not be used. So we're evaluating how do we overcome that to try to harmonize and make things easier for the industry then to utilize these around the globe.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And Bert, what's your call to action?
I think we have a really positive message. It's a nice product that we have. We are providing plant health products that are good for plant health, and that will also contribute to human health. And in that sense, we really have a good and positive message. And indeed, read the paper and use it wherever possible and communicate about it.
That's everyone's homework, read the paper.
Yeah.
And Rob, very briefly from you, what's your call to action?
Yeah, the last 5 seconds. That's going to be walk the talk. Let's do this globally as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much, everybody, and good luck with this challenging time ahead in the next few years. But thank you so much for sharing your insights and stories today. If you could thank them in the usual way, please.